Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Ro. So ladies, periods, menstrual cycles, Aunt Flo, that time of the month, imposter, devil, whatever you want to call it, let's talk about it. So I'm going to be talking about the before, during, and after of this thing called periods. I have my pencil because I took notes. Not pencil, this is a pen. I have my pen because I took some notes. The backstory of my period, if I'm not mistaken, I got my period at 10 or 11 years old. I was in the 5th grade, if I'm not mistaken. I remember crying to my mom when I got it because I didn't want it. I didn't want to be a woman. I was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm a kid. I want to play. I don't want this thing. I'm not ready. I ain't grown. I don't want it. But I got it. What can you do? For the most part, I have had a very regular period. I really have a really normal period, thankfully. The before would be symptoms. So the symptoms for my period usually start a week before it actually comes on. So the first symptom I usually get is breast sensitivity. My goodness, they're just sensitive, or they're almost irritated, like I want to scratch them. That's weird, I know, but that is like the first thing that happens. Another thing concerning my boobs, they grow. My boobs are huge before and on my period. They calm down around the 4th or 5th day, but they just run wild. Another symptom is cravings and a higher appetite. Not necessarily on my period, but the days leading up to my period, I promise I could eat 50 million times a day and not be full. And piggybacking off of my appetite, I have very particular cravings on my period. I typically crave sweets. Sometimes it's the most random thing. It can be a burger, which happened to me this go round because I'm suffering as we speak. Eat anything. Another one is moody. I am super duper emotional leading up to my period. When I'm on my period, it's not so bad, but leading up to my period, it's not good. Easily irritable, and I know that's kind of cliche, but it's the truth. I just become so sensitive, or I just want to shut up and shut out the world. It could be any of those, or all of them at the same time. Next symptom would be nausea. Nausea is not really a consistent symptom that I have. It comes and goes, but more recently it has been consistent. So nausea maybe the day before in the morning of me getting my period. Bloating is a huge sign. Definitely the days leading up to my period and the first 2 to 3 days of my period, the bloating is terrible. I already have a natural pudge, but it is times 3 when my period is near or when it's on. It's not like a soft bloating, like I could suck it in. No, it's firm and it's annoying, and all of my jeans are high waist, so you gonna see it. It's right there. Sometimes I have back aches, and my back aches usually happen the first day of my period. So back ache is another one. Hot flashes. Oh my goodness. I'm naturally hot anyway. 2 to 3 days before my period, and when I'm on my period, I am burning up. If you were to touch me, you would think I would probably feel like I'm 200 degrees. Like right now, this very moment, I am hot to the touch. And this especially gets irritating when I am sleeping, because I could wake up in sweat. So I think hot flashes and being super hot is definitely the most irritating symptom that I deal with. And I think that's all for my symptom. Now let's talk about the during. My period now lasts about 5 days. It used to last a good 4, but now it's 5. My first day is the absolute worst. The worst. Second day, I'm adjusted. Third day is okay. We almost there. The 4th day is really relaxed, and 5th day is kind of like that day in between. Not really a period day, but it's not necessarily off. That's my 5th day. Cramps. We love them. We have no choice, right? Thankfully, I have my cramps down to a science. There was a period of time when I didn't have cramps at all, or I would only cramp for like a number of hours and I would be done. But as I got older, cramps were just like, nah, you gonna feel me. I wanna talk about how I deal with my cramps. Now, I don't have like a heating pad or anything like that. I don't want anything to do with heat while I'm on my period. So to deal with my period, I usually take medicine. For a number of years, I took Aleve or Tylenol. But in 2018, I had a bad experience with Tylenol. I was on my period and I had a cold at the same time. It led to a really, really severe nosebleed. So after that experience, I stopped using basic pain meds that could be focused on any pain that you have in your body. I started using medicine that were strictly focused on cramps, and those medicines are Midol or Pamprin. I'm not a big fan of taking medicine unless I'm just miserable, but usually I only take one little set of Midol or Pamprin and I'm good to go. I don't like to keep continuously taking it. I like to take it at one time right before, like right when my period comes on. I take it one time and I try to tough out the rest of the time. I do remember maybe 2 to 3 instances in the past few years where my cramps were just horrible. I was supposed to go out one night. Everybody I knew was out, everybody I knew was there, and I literally could not go because my cramps were so bad. Cramps can be very bad if I'm standing on my feet. So I used to be a full-time braider, which means I was standing on my feet for a number of hours. If I were to braid on the first day of my period, I would be in severe pain. So much to the point where I never scheduled braiding appointments on the first day of my period. It was an absolute no-no. I was suffering the whole time, irritated, and don't nobody want to deal with no irritated braider. There's still cramps nonetheless. I have a really good routine. I take that medicine one time and usually it works. I sit down for a couple hours, stay off my feet, and I think I'm good. So let's get more into the products I use. So before I talk about the products and the items and the brands that I use on my period, I'm gonna talk about the things that I actually use and my preferences. I am a tampon girl. I didn't become a tampon girl until about maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I had a bad experience with a tampon in high school. I tried it out and I was suffering. I put it in wrong. I wasn't supposed to be using it. I wasn't ready to use it, and it was a super tampon. Bad experience. My body almost went in shock. I remember putting it on before I went to school, and by the time the bus made it to the school, I was almost in tears. I was that uncomfortable and in pain. Like my body was almost shutting down on me. So I took it out and I put on a pad. So after that experience, I was really scared of wearing tampons. But I gave it another try about 3 years ago and I am hooked. I hate the feeling of pads. I just don't like them. I do, however, wear pads most nights unless it's like that 4th or 5th night. But my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd night, I do wear pads. I do wear liners when I wear my tampons. And what's next? I use wipes on my period. So before October of 2019, I was using products that you can find in any store. You buy Kotex, Always, those type. I noticed that I didn't like them, to say the least. I have very sensitive skin, and I remember I stopped using Always maybe my freshman year in college because the pads would irritate my skin so bad. So I stopped using those and I switched over to You by Kotex. Those pads were much better. I didn't have much irritability with them. And the problem that I had with those products in general was smell. The smell that the pad or the tampon was creating. after that experience, I want to use these in-store brands no more. Let me do some research and find a better company to get my toiletries from. So I was watching the Chic Naturals channel, and she was talking about the company that she gets her products from. So she talked about how the products were chlorine free, fragrance free, organic, and I was sold. She's one of the very few YouTubers that I trust. That being said, I decided to give them a try. Why not? And I am glad to say that I haven't turned back since. The products are truly fragrance free. I have had no problems with them at all. I personally order every 2 months because when I order, I try to get in bulk to last me like 2 or 3 periods. But they do have a subscription where they could send you items every month. This is not sponsored, but if you want to try out these products, they are linked in the description. First, let's talk about the tampons. I have super and I have regular. So on my heavier days, I wear super. On my lighter days, I wear regulars, but I am a tampon girl, and this is how the packaging looks. It's really, really cute. It says it's made without fragrance, chlorine, dioxin, pesticides, GMOs, artificial dyes, perfume, BPA, and other toxic ingredients. And they also have even more natural products on their website. I really love them. I noticed that now there are a lot more in-store organic products available, so you can definitely check those out as well. But I would highly recommend switching to more organic products made without all the extras, because it's really not great, especially if you're using tampons. So the tampons are 16 count in a box, and I think there is a option with more tampons in it. I'm not sure. Moving on to the panty liners, which are also organic, and they come in a pack of 20. And I have pads. I don't know why, but I like to keep my stuff in the box. I don't know why, but I have the pads. They are cotton pads as well, and they are 14 count. I have the regular size, but they do have large size or like nighttime sizes, but I personally just use regular at night. And the last thing I get is the feminine wipes. Now I do want to say about the feminine wipes, they do have a scent to them. Let's see, it's not a perfume fragrance, it's like a natural fragrance. I still use them. Aside from the fragrance, the only downside would be there's only 10 in a pack, so I usually get like 2 or 3 packs every time I order. Another thing that I do while I'm on my period and before, probably even after, I do it in general now that I think about it, I drink a lot of water. I tend to feel dehydrated. I guess that would be like a symptom of my period. I don't really have too much of a big aftercare routine aside from baths, along with showers. Of course, I'll probably take baths every night, probably day 6, 7, and 8. Probably the only aftercare I really do. I also want to talk about the app that I use. Again, this is not sponsored. I'm actually going to screen record my screen so I can show you guys the app. I think if you just type in period tracker, oh Lord, it's saying my period is late. My period's actually on. It came on today, which is the 29th. As of lately, the period, my body is kind of switching cycle time. So the last few periods, this app has been like 2 days early, but 85% of the time it is super duper accurate. I've only had like a handful of times where it's been like a day or 2 early or a day or 2 late as far as the date, but it has calendar of showing you when your period starts. You can log when your period starts, you can log when it ends. So last time I had a 6-day period, so right now it's predicting that my next period will be on May 26th. I'm going to shoot for May 27th. And it also tells you on here when you're fertile and when you're ovulating. So if you're trying to have a kid or not have a kid, this will help you out. You can log in here when you've been intimate, so you can kind of track, you know, what you got going on, like I said, if you're trying to have a kid and if you're not trying to have a kid. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot more that you can do on the app, but for the most part, this is what I do. I log when it starts, when it ends, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think that pretty much wraps up this Let's Talk About It session about periods. Hopefully I did not leave anything out. I've honestly started to embrace my period a little bit more nowadays, just trying to see the beauty in it and not the beast in it. So let's just start a conversation down below in the comments. Before, I want to know your period stories. If you have a period horror story, embarrassing story, or if you have questions for me, please let me know down below in the comments. And while you're at it, go ahead and like and share this with a friend, and also subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah.